Space around the outer rim was quiet, the kind of quiet that made even old pilots uneasy. Broken stars and cold dust floated where a system once lived. Human research ships moved slowly through the dark, their lights cutting thin lines across the ruins. This place had been dead for millions of years, yet something still waited here. Jack Morris stood inside the main survey ship, watching data scroll across his console. He was not a soldier, and he did not like danger, but space had a way of pulling people like him into its deepest shadows. Jack was a systems engineer, the kind who trusted numbers more than instincts. Today, the numbers were wrong. Power readings kept repeating in neat patterns like a heartbeat buried under stone. Lisa Brown floated beside him, holding a small tablet. She was a language specialist, trained to find meaning where no voice remained. Her eyes moved quickly as symbols formed and vanished on her screen. These were not normal ruins. The symbols were layered, written over themselves again and again, as if the builders expected someone patient to come later. Eric Hall's voice came through the ship channel, steady but tense. He was young for a fleet officer, but command had given him this mission because he listened before acting. He asked Jack to confirm the signal again. Jack did, and the pattern did not change. The signal was coming from inside what remained of a collapsed star. Not a planet, not a station, but the dense core left behind after a controlled stellar death. No known species built inside stars. No known species could. As the ships moved closer, the signal grew stronger. Instruments that should have failed continued to work. Cooling systems adjusted on their own. Jack noticed the ship correcting itself without orders. He felt a chill and said nothing at first, hoping it was a mistake. Lisa broke the silence. She said the symbols were responding, not randomly but carefully as if listening. She explained that the structure of the language was conditional. It waited for something specific. Eric ordered a slow approach. The fleet followed, unaware that they were being watched. Far beyond human sensors, hidden among folded space, alien observers recorded everything. They were not explorers. They were caretakers left behind by older powers. Their task was simple: watch for activation. For ages, nothing had happened. Now the signal burned like a flare. The observers shared data among themselves. The protocol was real. The last line was waking. Fear spread through their silent network. Inside the dead star, a cavity opened. Matter shifted as if gravity itself stepped aside. A vault emerged, smooth and dark, untouched by time. Human scanners could not read its surface, yet it allowed them to see it. Jack realized the object wanted to be found. The first human probe touched the vault and did not melt, did not break. Instead, it transmitted data back, clean and clear. Lisa's hands shook as she read it. The language was old, older than anything recorded, yet parts of it aligned with human math, human logic. She whispered that the vault was keyed to humanity. Jack asked how that was possible. Humans had only reached space recently. Lisa answered with a quiet truth. Someone had planned far ahead. Eric ordered the vault secured and linked to the ship's core systems. The moment the connection formed, every human vessel in the fleet felt it. Lights dimmed, then stabilized. Engines hummed with new balance. No alarm sounded, but everyone knew something had changed. Jack saw new code writing itself into inactive layers of the ship. He tried to stop it and failed. The code was not hostile. It behaved like a guide, correcting errors, smoothing rough designs humans had accepted as limits. Lisa translated a single repeating phrase from the vault. It did not sound like a threat or a promise. It sounded like a statement of fact. When the Guardians fall, the final witness stands. Eric demanded answers, but the vault gave none directly. Instead, it opened deeper layers. Star maps appeared, showing routes humans had never charted. Some led to empty systems. Others led to places marked as lost. Among the data was a warning, not written in fear but in certainty. Something had destroyed the ancient alliance, something patient and vast. The protocol was never meant to stop it alone. It was meant to prepare someone else. Jack felt the weight of that truth settle over him. Humanity was not chosen for strength or numbers. It was chosen because it endured failure and kept moving. Outside the system, alien observers debated their next move. If humans completed the activation, the balance of the galaxy would change. Some argued to destroy the fleet now. Others feared that even attacking might trigger defenses beyond control. A signal was sent to distant powers. The message was simple: humanity has found it. Back aboard the ship, Eric gathered the senior crew. He spoke plainly. They had uncovered something that made them a target. Returning home might spread the activation faster. Staying risked destruction. Jack suggested a third option. Let the protocol finish waking here, where damage could be contained. Lisa supported him. She believed the protocol was careful. It would not harm them unless forced. It was waiting to see who humans were. Eric agreed, though fear showed in his eyes. Orders went out to hold position. The vault pulsed once like a slow breath. Jack's console displayed a new line of text, written in clear human language. Test phase initiated. No alarms followed. No weapons deployed. Only a quiet sense of being observed, not by enemies but by history itself. The fleet remained still, suspended between what humanity was and what it might become. Far away, ancient watchers prepared for a future they hoped would never come. The last line had awakened, and humanity stood at its center, unaware that this first step would echo across the entire galaxy. The fleet held its position near the dead star, engines low, weapons silent. Hours passed, then days, but no direct threat appeared. Instead, small changes spread through every human system connected to the vault. They were not upgrades in the usual sense. Nothing flashy, nothing obvious. Things simply worked better. Jack Morris barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, new data waited when he opened them again. Power flow stabilized across the ship without manual tuning. Error margins vanished. Systems he had learned to accept as imperfect now corrected themselves before faults could form. It felt less like a machine learning system and more like a careful teacher guiding a student. Lisa Brown focused on the language layers. The protocol continued to release fragments, each one unlocking only after humans responded in some way. When the crew worked together, more data appeared. When fear or anger rose, the flow slowed. Lisa began to believe the protocol was measuring behavior, not intelligence. Eric Hall noticed it too. Disputes between departments faded. People listened more. Orders were questioned, but with respect, not defiance. The ship felt different, calmer, as if tension had been drained from the walls. Far from the fleet, alien councils gathered. Species that rarely spoke to one another now shared emergency channels. The ancient protocol was more than a weapon. It was a system tied to galactic survival. Records from lost empires surfaced, all pointing to the same truth. The protocol only activated when extinction-level patterns aligned. Many leaders feared humanity. Others feared what hunted the ancients even more. Scout drones slipped closer to the human fleet, careful to stay hidden. Their scans showed no massive weapons, no sudden armada. This confused the watchers. If the protocol was active, where was the firepower? Back near the vault, a second message appeared on Jack's console. This one was longer. It explained that the ancient alliance had fallen because it relied too much on control. They built walls, fleets, and laws, but lost the ability to adapt. When the final threat arrived, they broke. The protocol was designed to avoid that mistake. It did not replace its chosen guardians. It strengthened what already existed. Lisa translated another key phrase: strength without unity fails, unity without choice decays. Eric shared this with command back on Earth. The transmission carried subtle protocol signals with it, riding human communication lines like invisible companions. Earth's networks adjusted without knowing why. Traffic systems balanced better. Power grids grew more efficient. No one panicked because nothing felt forced. On Earth, Emma White watched reports stack across her screens. She worked as a civilian strategist, called in when patterns crossed political and military lines. She saw the same small improvements everywhere. They formed a picture she did not like. This was not random. Emma requested direct access to the fleet's data. When she connected, the protocol acknowledged her presence. She felt it, not as a voice, but as attention. Her questions shaped the flow of information. When she asked about defense, star maps expanded. When she asked about peace, records of ancient diplomacy surfaced. She realized the protocol was waiting to see what humanity would choose to prepare for. Meanwhile, fear pushed some alien powers toward action. A coalition of aggressive states decided humanity could not be trusted with such a legacy. They assembled a strike force, planning a swift attack to destroy the vault before full activation. The first warning came as a distortion ripple at the edge of the system. Human sensors caught it late, but the protocol adjusted ranges instantly. Eric ordered shields raised, though no weapons fired yet. Jack saw the protocol limit itself. It did not take control. It suggested solutions, offered improved shield harmonics, but waited for human approval. Every change required a choice. Lisa understood then. The test was ongoing. Alien ships dropped from folded space in a tight formation. They broadcast a demand for surrender, stating that the vault was forbidden technology. Eric responded calmly. He said humanity had found it, not stolen it. He said they would not abandon it. No further words followed. Energy flared as the attackers moved to strike. The first exchange was brief. Human shields held longer than expected, bending instead of shattering. Weapons fired with greater accuracy, not because of new guns, but because targeting systems worked together better than before. Still, the enemy had numbers. One human escort ship took heavy damage, its hull torn open. Jack felt the loss like a weight in his chest. The protocol reacted, but not with anger. It rerouted power, stabilized survivors, and marked the damage as a lesson. Emma watched the battle from Earth. She urged restraint. She warned that total destruction would prove the attackers right. Eric listened. He ordered defensive focus only. As the fight dragged on, something unexpected happened. Alien coordination began to falter. Their systems were rigid, built for command chains. Human ships adapted on the fly, sharing sensor data freely, trusting local decisions. The protocol amplified this trust. It did not add speed, it reduced delay. Eventually, the attackers withdrew, shocked by resistance they could not predict. They left behind wreckage and silence. The human fleet did not cheer. They mourned the damaged ship and its crew. The protocol released another message, softer than before. You chose restraint under threat. Emma understood the meaning. Humanity was being shaped not into soldiers but into stewards. Alien observers updated their records. The last line was not a superweapon. It was a filter, separating those who ruled through fear from those who endured through cooperation. More signals spread across the galaxy. Some species prepared for war. Others began to watch humanity with cautious hope. Back near the vault, Jack stood quietly, hands resting on his console. He no longer felt small before the ancient system. It was not above humanity. It stood beside them, waiting to see what they would become next. The test phase continued and the galaxy held its breath. The quiet after the first battle did not bring peace. It brought attention. Across the galaxy, sensors turned toward human space. Traders slowed their routes. Patrol fleets changed course. Rumors spread faster than facts, and fear filled the empty spaces between stars. Near the dead star, the human fleet repaired damage and counted the cost. The escort ship survived, but many crew members were lost. Jack Morris attended the quiet memorial through a shared channel. No speeches were made. Names were spoken, then silence followed. The protocol remained still during this time, as if respecting the moment. Lisa Brown noticed that after the memorial, new data unlocked. It was not tactical, it was historical. Records showed how the ancient alliance had fractured, not during war but during blame. Worlds accused each other of weakness. Trust broke, and the protocol had never fully activated in their time. This time was different. Eric Hall received orders from Earth to return the vault. Many leaders believed it was too dangerous to leave in open space. Others argued that moving it could trigger unknown responses. Eric delayed the decision, requesting more time. The protocol responded by presenting possible outcomes, not commands. Every path carried cost. On Earth, Emma White worked with diplomats who suddenly found doors opening that had long been closed. Alien envoys reached out, cautious but curious. They wanted to understand why humanity had not used the protocol to strike back harder. Emma answered honestly. She said humanity was still learning what it held. Not all were patient. A powerful empire on the far side of known space decided restraint was weakness. They believed the protocol was incomplete and that destroying its human carriers would end the threat. They gathered a massive fleet, larger than anything humanity had faced. Warning came late. The empire masked its approach behind trade convoys and false signals. When they emerged, they surrounded the system in a wide arc, cutting off escape routes. Eric ordered full readiness. Fear ran through the fleet, but panic did not. The protocol adjusted sensor ranges and communication clarity, allowing every ship to share the same picture. Jack saw it again, that gentle guidance, never crossing into control. Lisa translated a new phrase as the enemy fleet closed in. The trial is not survival, the trial is choice. The enemy broadcast a single demand: surrender the vault and submit to inspection or be destroyed. Eric opened a channel to Earth. Opinions clashed. Some urged surrender to save lives. Others argued that giving up the vault would invite endless demands. Emma spoke last. She reminded them of the earlier lesson. The protocol responded to unity and restraint. Fear-based choices weakened its support. She did not tell them what to do, she trusted them to decide. Eric made his choice. He refused surrender but did not threaten. He offered talks instead. The enemy responded with fire. The battle that followed was unlike the first. This was not a probing strike. This was an attempt at erasure. Energy beams lit the dark. Missiles tore through space. Human ships were pushed back, shields flaring and failing. Jack worked non-stop, routing power, sealing breaches, keeping systems alive through sheer focus. The protocol expanded options, showing him paths he would never have seen alone. He chose each one, hands shaking but steady. Lisa stayed connected to the vault, translating as fast as she could. She realized the protocol was opening deeper layers, but only because humanity was holding together under pressure. Eric coordinated defense, trusting captains to act independently. No rigid formation held. Ships moved like a living thing, adapting to damage, covering one another without orders. Still, the enemy pressed harder. One by one, human ships fell back. Casualties mounted. Despair crept close. Then the protocol changed its tone. It did not deploy weapons. It altered space itself in small ways. Gravity wells shifted just enough to bend enemy fire. Sensor noise increased around human vessels, not blinding the enemy but forcing them to rely on slower decisions. Jack realized what was happening. The protocol was buying time, not victory. Lisa uncovered the truth in the data. The ancient threat that destroyed the Alliance had not been defeated by force. It had been delayed, pushed back again and again, until internal collapse did the rest. Survival required endurance, not dominance. Eric understood. He ordered a slow retreat toward the vault, drawing the enemy closer, stretching their formation. It was a risk, but the only path left. On Earth, Emma coordinated emergency aid and broadcast a message across all channels, human and alien alike. She did not beg, she did not threaten. She showed the battle as it was, raw and unfiltered. Some alien worlds turned away, others watched closely. As the fight reached its peak, a strange thing happened. Several neutral fleets arrived at the edge of the system. They did not attack. They simply observed, recording how humanity fought and how it refused to abandon its damaged ships. One by one, those fleets sent limited support. Sensor data, rescue craft, nothing aggressive but enough to shift the balance. The enemy empire hesitated. Their command structure struggled to adapt to the new variables. Delays formed. Confusion spread. The protocol released another message, felt more than heard. You are not alone. With renewed resolve, the human fleet held its line. Losses were heavy, but collapse did not come. Finally, facing rising costs and unexpected unity among lesser powers, the enemy ordered withdrawal. Silence returned, broken only by rescue operations and quiet relief. The protocol dimmed its activity once more, as if satisfied. Jack slumped against his console, exhausted. Lisa closed her eyes, tears floating free in zero gravity. Eric stood in the command center, shoulders heavy with the weight of every life lost. Far away, ancient watchers updated their final records. The trial was nearing its end. Humanity had not won through strength. It had endured through choice. The galaxy began to change its mind. The days after the great battle felt unreal. Wreckage drifted slowly through the system, silent proof of how close everything had come to ending. Rescue ships moved carefully among the debris, pulling survivors from shattered hulls and marking the places where no one remained. The human fleet stayed together, damaged but unbroken. Jack Morris worked until his hands ached. Systems that should have failed were still running, held together by human effort and the quiet support of the protocol. He noticed that the guidance had softened again. It no longer suggested improvements every moment. It stepped back as if testing whether humanity could now stand on its own. Lisa Brown spent long hours reviewing the final layers of data unlocked during the battle. These were not instructions. They were memories. She saw images of worlds long gone, species that had laughed, argued, and hoped much like humans did. The ancient alliance had not been perfect. They had loved peace but feared loss. That fear had shaped everything they built. Eric Hall gathered his commanders for a simple meeting. No speeches, no ceremony. He thanked them for trusting each other when fear would have been easier. He reminded them that the story was not over just because the guns had fallen silent. On Earth, Emma White faced a different kind of battle. Governments argued over ownership, control, and future use of the protocol. Some wanted to turn it into a shield around human space. Others wanted to hide it forever. Emma listened, then spoke with calm honesty. She said the protocol was never theirs to command. It had responded to who they were, not who they claimed to be. Her words did not end the debate, but they slowed it. Alien reactions followed many paths. Some empires retreated inward, shaken by the failure of force. Others reached out, offering cautious dialogue. Smaller species, long caught between greater powers, watched humanity with something close to hope. Near the dead star, the vault changed once more. Its surface lost its dark sheen and became dull, almost ordinary. Internal readings dropped steadily. Jack realized the energy source was winding down. Lisa translated the final active message. The safeguard does not endure forever. It exists to awaken, not to rule. Eric understood then. The protocol was ending its role. Whatever threat still waited in the deep future would now face a united galaxy, not a single chosen shield. As if in response, ancient watchers emerged from hiding. Their vessels appeared without weapons raised. They transmitted records openly, no longer bound by secrecy. They confirmed what the protocol had implied. The ancient threat was real but distant. It fed on collapse, not conquest. When civilizations turned against each other, it grew stronger. Humanity's actions had weakened it. The Watchers asked a single question: would humanity help guide what came next? That question echoed across Earth and the fleet alike. It was not a demand. It was an invitation. Emma advised acceptance, but with limits. Humanity would not rule the galaxy. It would stand with it. Cooperation, not command, had been the lesson paid for in lives. Eric transmitted humanity's answer: yes to guidance, no to dominance. The response was immediate. Alien channels filled with cautious relief. Plans for shared monitoring networks began to form. Early warning systems replaced secret weapons. Old borders softened. Back at the vault, its last light faded. The structure broke apart into harmless dust, scattering into the dead star's gravity well. The ancient protocol was gone. For a moment, fear returned. Then nothing bad happened. Ships still worked. People still trusted each other. The changes remained not because the protocol enforced them, but because humanity had learned to value them. Jack felt a quiet pride. The universe had not saved them. They had met it halfway. Lisa closed the final data file and archived the memories of the ancient alliance. She promised herself their story would not be forgotten, not as a warning alone, but as a reminder of shared failure and shared hope. Eric ordered the fleet home. Repairs would take months. Grief would take longer, but they would return stronger, not in firepower, but in understanding. On Earth, people watched the fleet's return with mixed emotions. There was relief, sorrow, and something new. A sense that humanity was no longer alone in the dark. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Small joint missions began. Scientists shared data. Engineers solved problems together. Trust grew slowly, carefully. The ancient watchers withdrew, their task complete. They left behind no commands, only open channels. Far beyond known space, something vast stirred, then slowed. Patterns it relied on were no longer forming as before. Unity disrupted its hunger. Humanity did not know this. It did not need to. Jack returned to a quiet life of systems design, now focused on cooperation rather than perfection. Lisa taught new students how to listen to silence and find meaning without fear. Eric continued to serve, guiding others with the lessons earned in loss. Emma watched the stars often, thinking of how close everything had come to ending. She believed the future would still hold conflict and pain, but now it would not be faced alone. The galaxy moved forward, not under a single shield, but under shared responsibility. Humanity had been the last line of defense once. Now it was part of something greater.